They're never going to stop what's going on at schools. They're never going to stop mass casualties events because you know why? They've implemented forced birthing. They have the people that they need that they can exploit and oppress perpetually as they undereducate them, don't provide them with adequate health care or mental health. To them, it doesn't matter that the events that happened in Georgia the other day happen. It doesn't matter because they can forcibly breed you. See, the people who are in favor of that say that they are pro-life and yet don't consider. Have you guys ever talked to conservatives? I'll just talk to I live in a red state, and I've grown up with conservatives who hold these views, and for decades their mind stops at, we just need to make them give birth, force them to give birth. This is what God wants, even though they don't realize that they are their own God, and that God spot that they've created is filled with the ideology and the views about who and what their God is that they've created. But I digress. The natural and probable consequence of ensuring that you can force people to give birth is the understanding that there's always going to be more people. And I give you that logic because some of you are like, no, I really don't think that way. But there is a consequence to implementing that by law. Because from a corporate perspective, from a vulture class and parasite class perspective who really don't care about you all that are being birthed, and they're more than happy to allow you all to be perpetually terrified, filled with fear, controlled and oppressed, using the same plantation logic that was used for hundreds of years on people of African descent. They're willing for your children to be unalive because it's the dozen rule. Back in the day, on plantations, they would forcibly breed, and even if they're breeding father with daughter, mother with son, cousins, it didn't matter because you need to go look at the dozens rule, because I don't think I'm accurately explaining how horrifying that logic was. Same thing goes for you all now that you're being forcibly bred. They're just going to force you all to breed and breed and breed and continue to breed. And if your children are lost, it doesn't matter, because having more guns out in public, having weapons of war, because we're just talking about weapons of war. Weapons of war poorly locked away, accessible by children. This eventuality that we keep seeing with kids going to schools and doing what they're doing in mass casualty events, this is okay with them because there will always be more of you because you're being forcibly bred. You gotta understand the logic of the data and the numbers and why it doesn't matter, that they only give you lip service about what you're going through and Kemp issuing thoughts and prayers after we've had years, decades of thoughts and prayers doing absolutely nothing. I mean, we went through what we went through in Tennessee, and the students there were protesting, and the rich do not care. They didn't bother with let them eat cake. They just called out the police to do what the police do and to enforce the interest of the rich and the elite. Because technically they're not elite. They're just degenerates who have gained money and power enough to oppress others. So they don't care now. I really need you all to talk to your friends and family about this. They have zero reason to stop mass casualty events because the oppressed class is now being forcibly bred. Plantation logic. We've tried to explain to you all that America's run on plantation logic. Corporations are too. And now there's no reason to do anything because the fear makes you, and the greed makes you buy more guns. The fear and the greed. That's why America, and really countries all around the world that have been touched by colonization and have been twisted by white supremacy and capitalism, it runs on fear. Out of fear, you buy more. Out of fear, you hoard. Out of fear, you oppress. Out of fear, you cause other people to be miserable. Until people deal with the fear, which is crazy because even the colonized, imperialized, supremacized Christianity, it uses fear. It's convert or die, convert or burn. And then when that doesn't work, they love bomb you. It's narcissism. It really is a victimizer like cycle of narcissism that we have to deal with. So this is the next video in my series in which I'm talking to you all about how to change your world and make it a better place. Because if you don't hit these and attack these ground and base level things, we can try to work on the things that I was talking about yesterday about food and resources, food and shelter, education. My mutual said we need to add electricity and internet to that. Those are commodities that cannot be subject to price gouging, and really it should be subject to government subsidization and an insurance by the government, because the corporations aren't going to do anything. When you allow what's being allowed right now, which is price gouging and in-stage capitalism, kicks in, these companies just go into hoarding. They lay off their people, they consolidate power, and they consolidate market space, and they lobby. That's why I keep saying it's about power and control, and they lobby so that they can sicken the people, whether it's the home, whether it's any of those basic commodities that are human right. They lobby to be able to sicken you and let you hurry up and die. People need to look at why colon cancer is happening in younger and younger people. Pancreatic cancer is happening in younger people. So you're going to have to pay attention to these base level things that are the building blocks of your misery, because if you don't, and you just keep tuning it out, hoping that things will get better, it's not. Right now, the people of boomers, Gen X, and millennials are building your future, the future that Gen Alpha is going to have to suffer from. People like me, our future was built and destroyed by Silent Generation and boomers and Gen X. And so when you get to my age, and I'm old, when you get to my age, you realize that if you don't start building that future as a young person, you don't start fighting aggressively for that future, you don't start pushing back against the things that you see that are building the genocidal, because you're heading, Gen Alpha, Gen Z, you guys are heading first into war and genocide. And I think people aren't realizing that we're about to see, I'm not going to predict economic collapse. I mean, you're going to see it in parts of the world, but what you're used to seeing and what your parents are used to seeing from their environment, the world in which they live, their global village, is rapidly changing. And so you can't hope that things will get better without ensuring that they're going to get better. So you guys got to start taking a stand and seeing. So I'm giving basic building blocks of collapse, calamity, genocide, and all of that nonsense that we're seeing. Like fear is one of the basic building blocks. And so if you can understand that, the fear, the embracement of the dehumanization of the other, the subjugation of the other that I was talking about yesterday, then you're gonna be able to understand how you can disassemble and dismantle those systems. I hear a lot of people talking about abolition work, and that they're gonna overcome the system, which they're not gonna do that. It's just not, it's not happening. The rich and the powerful who have power, money, and authority, the vulture and the parasite class, they'll just use fascism to enforce and protect their position. And you're seeing that now from Zionism. So anyway, you guys, I wish you love, prosperity, and hope, and that you receive that always. But if you want those kinds of things in lieu of fear, disrespect, and dehumanization, you have to force your world to produce it.